Director, the big breaking story this afternoon on NDTV in Maharashtra's multi-crore irrigation scam. We know now that crores and crores of rupees have been spent on hundreds of irrigation projects in the past 10 years. But there's been very little to show for it on the ground, leading to allegations of corruption. But these allegations, of course, have never been concretely proven, and it's not clear exactly where these kickbacks have come from that have surrounded particularly Ajit Pawar, who's been Irrigation Minister for the past 10 years, subsequently Deputy Chief Minister, and who finally resigned after intense pressure leading to inquiries on all these irrigation projects. Well, now NDTV has accessed exclusive details, which we'll start putting now up on the screen for you, which shows how Mr. Pawar, when he was Irrigation Minister, actually sanctioned what are known as mobilization advances, which are basically advances paid to contractors for their irrigation projects, even though this is against the law. And many believe that these advances are really a proxy for kickbacks, which were paid to politicians and officials in exchange for getting contracts. Now, Ajit Pawar, as we said, has personally cleared these advances to contractors. If you can start putting those pointers up on the screen. Also, most of these contractors actually had political links, which is, again, many believe one of the key aspects of the scam, that a number of contractors actually had political links. These were basically 4 projects in Vidarbha which received these advances, and these advances had actually been banned in the year 2000. The CAG had said that these advance payments to contractors is a violation, and despite that, these advances were actually given to all these different contractors. Now, let's just put up on the screen for you each of those specific cases which has led to these allegations of corruption. Now, one of them is the case of the Dhapewada barrage in Vidarbha. The contractor was someone called Soma Enterprises, which is a company of Avinash Bhosle, who is a Pune-based builder with known links and close links to the Pawar family. He was given an advance of 20%. This letter signed by Ajit Pawar. The second case is that of a Purna barrage being constructed again in Vidarbha. Here the contractor was SMS Infrastructure, the company of Ajay Sancheti, the BJP MP, in joint partnership with another company, D. Thakkar. Here the advance was increased from 10% to 15%. Again, it was signed by Ajit Pawar. The third project is that of Vagadi barrage, again in Vidarbha. The contractor here is Bajoria Construction, and this is a company which is owned by an NCP MLC, member of the Legislative Council. Again here, the advance amount was hiked from 10 to 15%. Again, it was signed by Ajit Pawar. And the final project is that of Lower Pedhi, which is in Vidarbha. And here again, the contractor was D. Thakkar Constructions in partnership with SMS. And here, the advance was a whopping 20%, a 20% in advance given to him for a project of 147 crores. Again, this was signed by Ajit Pawar, and we actually have copies of those letters, which NDTV's Sanjay Tiwari, who's based in Nagpur, has managed to get exclusive details of. And if the camera can actually zoom in, then we can actually show you how each of these letters actually carries Mr. Pawar's signature. That, in fact, is his signature. And what is significant here is that being the Minister of Irrigation at that time, many believe it was highly unusual that he was actually signing each of these contracts and clearing each of these advances personally. Many are surprised at that level of personal interest, because these are projects that are cleared by the Irrigation Corporation of that region. In this case, the Vidarbha Irrigation Corporation. It's meant to be cleared at a much junior level, but here he is sanctioning each of these individual advances personally. So his very, very direct link to this practice, which, as we said, has been declared as illegal, and by the state's own irrigation department has said that this is a practice that was stopped in 2000. Let's now go across to get a range of political reactions, starting with Majid Memon, leading criminal advocate, in which capacity I've spoken to him many times, but coming today as a member of the NCP. Mr. Memon, with every day, new evidence is emerging of serious question marks, perhaps even violations in this entire irrigation scam. Now, as you've just seen, we've produced these letters showing advances given, mobilization advances given to contractors worth crores of rupees, which your own government, your own irrigation department had stopped in 2000 and signed by Mr. Pawar himself. What do you have to say about this?
And that your channel seems to be so excited that as though you have discovered something which is going to create a big storm. Well, I disagree with you, and I'm sorry to tell you, Srinivasan, what is wrong in that? As an irrigation minister, this minister has had some difference with the chief minister for this reason, as I have said earlier already, when there was a lot of noise about his resignation. I made it very clear that here is a very dynamic minister who wants to work faster than average, whereas our present chief minister, with highest respect to him, is slower than average, and therefore there was a wider gap between the two. That is how it was not harmoniously functioning. Anyway,
sir, but this is not about speed of action. This is about something which is illegal, which has been banned in 2000.
I am answering that only. Yep.
Yes.
Permit me, I am answering you the same thing. Now see, what you are trying to highlight is that why should irrigation minister himself sign, whereas it should have been signed by somebody else? Is that an offence? Is that a crime?
We are not highlighting that.
That if the minister...
We are not highlighting that. We are highlighting the fact that he is sanctioning something which is against the law. These advances were banned in the year 2000. So why are they still being given? The CAG has clearly said that these advances should not have been given. They suspect that this is a form of a kickback. So how come they were being sanctioned in 2008 and 9? If they were stopped in 2000.
Let us therefore not jump the gun. Let us not conclude. Let us not deliver judgments. We have certain facts which are required to be probed, in the sense that, well, if a minister was not expected to grant advances and yet he has advanced, in what circumstances did he grant this advance, is a matter which is to be probed. So that is why exactly he has stepped down, that if there are a dozen allegations like this, what you are saying need to be answered by a proper agency. It may be inquired into, and then he will give, if his explanation is unsatisfactory, then there may be some room for prosecution. Everything will follow. What is the job? You are trying to just say that he is guilty and he has committed a serious crime, or the NCP or the deputy chief minister is guilty.
No, sir. We are not saying, we are not ascribing here guilt. We are simply bringing to light evidence which in its totality gives people the big picture of exactly what went wrong in Maharashtra with these irrigation projects. And this is just one aspect of it, where Mr. Pawar has personally signed 4 instances of giving these advances to contractors, even though this is against the law. And activists and your opposition here are saying that these are in fact kickbacks, that these advances are paid to these contractors so they can repay the same money in the form of a bribe.
Srinivasan, two issues you are raising. Number one is that should the minister himself have signed? A. Number two is should such advance have been granted? Now both these things are required to be asked, and Ajit Pawar is going to explain it once these things will be asked by whosoever it is. Then what is it that some big mountain out of a mall?
India's #1 news app just got even better. Download NDTV's new app. Fully optimized for retina display. Full screen view. Faster response time. And Sudoku. NDTV's new iPad app. Download now.